because I am only here for God. Welcome to the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. We are delighted that you have joined us, whether you're here at the center in person, you're joining us via Zoom, via Facebook, or our YouTube channel. And if you're viewing on Facebook or YouTube, we invite you to enter a note in the comments and let us know where you're viewing from. We like to see how wide our audience is. In its purest form, the word compassion means together with feeling. This means that when we enter into compassion, we heal all sense of separation from one another. We allow ourselves to enter into the other's pain. Now, this is key. We enter into the other's pain not to fix it, or to heal it, or even to share it, but simply to be there and allow the healing energy of our presence say, "You are not alone. I am with you." And this quote is from Dennis Merritt Jones. This month, we are speaking truth to circumstances. In the first week, we learned that circumstances are never the truth. When we look them in the face as the monsters they seem to be, we neutralize their power and the control that they may seemingly have over us. Last week, we identified the ways that we have accepted or been hypnotized by the media and social conditioning. We discovered that when we wake up from the dream of the illusion, we free ourselves from reaction into action. And today, our topic is standing on Shiva. We must be patient. And there's a story I want to share with you that sets the background for the topic for today. In the Hindu tradition, there's a story about a battle that is taking place between the gods and the demons. The demons were winning, and the gods turned to Durga, known as the goddess of compassion and mothering, to do something. How many times do we find ourselves in that struggle or that seeming struggle with the demons, those forces or those circumstances that don't let us go? And we turn to the inner presence, or we turn to whatever it is that we see as a source that will help us to do something about this situation. And so in turning to Durga, the goddess of compassion, out of her forehead sprang the fierce warrior goddess Kali. Kali proceeded to destroy the demons. However, in her frenzy, she began killing everyone. Shiva, the destroyer of illusion, threw himself under Kali's feet, allowing her to come to herself and to stop mindlessly killing. And so for a moment, let's look at what Science of Mind and New Thought teaches, and we'll come back to the story and unpack it a little bit more. The spell of illusion can sometimes drive us crazy. We get caught up in it. There's so much to do, so many demons to slay, and we can get pulled off of knowing our truth, the truth of our wholeness. Engaging in our spiritual principles such as visioning, oneness, love, creation, freedom, and others allows us to wake up from our craziness, and we stop killing off what it is that we wanted to save. This is where healing takes place. Ernest Holmes reminds us that there is no process of healing, but there is generally a process in healing. And this process in healing takes the time and the effort which we undergo to come back to the realization of our truth. Let's look at our Hindu story a little bit deeper. The main demon has a gift. If cut, any drop of its blood that touches the ground results in a duplication of itself. This archetype represents the experience that no matter how hard we may try, the problem we're trying to solve just grows and grows and grows. There seems to be no solution, and we can become hopeless. The gods are losing in hope. They turn to Durga, a goddess known for compassion. And in this story, Kali bursts forth from Durga with the correct tools and tactics, and the demon's head is severed. Kali, an expression of the divine mothering principle, the infinite oneness, is able to absorb the seeds of the demon without them growing within her. Symbolically, when we prevent the seeds of suffering from hitting the ground of our own consciousness, they no longer replicate. However, it takes fierce, focused attention to arrive at this state of consciousness. In our culture, we describe demons as evil. Now, the word evil, if you look at it, when spelled backwards, it is live, E-V-I-L-L-I-V-E. And so this can be a metaphor that allows us to realize that we aren't and there aren't really evil people or forces in the world. Staying in our spiritual principles allows us to recognize that sometimes we or other people who are living backwards engage in evil acts, and they're using the life force to create harm and devastation instead of creating greater compassion, aliveness, love, and joy. As we begin to see people and circumstances differently, as we begin to see ourselves differently, as we begin to see others differently, the seeds that others want to call evil no longer affect us. We become so clear that, like Kali in the story, we can absorb the negative seeds before they create more fear, anger, or belief in separation. Like Kali, we must be fierce practitioners of truth to be truly effective in shifting consciousness and thus circumstances in the world. And now Shiva, known as the destroyer in the Hindu tradition, is considered part of the trinity of creation, maintaining or protecting creation, and then the destruction of creation so that something new can emerge. And I'm reminded of something I heard Dr. Michael Beckwith say many, many years ago, and that is sometimes we have to have a breakdown in order to experience a breakthrough. Ernest Holmes says it this way in our Science of Mind textbook on page 53, paragraph 3. Spirit is forever taking form and forever deserting the form of which it has taken. So there is something new that is always being out of what seems to be chaos. There is something new that is being created. And as we become even more aware of our groundness in our oneness with all of life, we overcome the experience of evil by flipping it. We turn it around into an alignment with life. And here I'm speaking of life with the capital L. For those of us who are in Science of Mind, know that when we emphasize or when we recognize the presence of spirit, often in our writing that is capitalized. So in this case, when we're flipping this around into alignment with life, we are recognizing the one life that is the source of all that there is. We recognize that this too, whatever the demon or the demons may be throwing at us, shall pass. This too shall pass. In recognizing that, we bring a calmness to our life. We may take on new causes. We may seek to improve the world and ourselves. while realizing that the demons we face will pass. And they will pass because we have flipped this around and turned it into a life-affirming experience. But a word of caution. Our challenges come in wanting instant gratification. We want it all now. How many of us in our prayer work, in our time together, say, I want it all now. I've got to have it all now. As students of Science of Mind and New Thought, we know that the entirety of the divine is present now. However, we would be blown into non-existence if we expressed it all now. You know, we accept this and we take it in bite-sized pieces, if you will. So don't be afraid to be in the messiness or to get a little uncomfortable when things are falling apart, recognizing that this too shall pass. And so our concluding takeaways in our call to action this morning is our action is far more effective when we understand what needs to be happen and what we're seeking to create. Facing circumstances, we engage in the spiritual practice of visioning, asking, what does spirit, not my ego, want to express here? Going to war with conditions, we can get lost in the battle. Going to war with conditions, we can get lost in the battle and forget our real purpose. Staying grounded in the truth of our spiritual practices, we don't go off into a frenzy, destroying everything in sight. You've heard the expression of a mad bull in a china closet. You know, sometimes our behaviors and our reaction to experiences will take us into that state of uncontrolled frenzy. However, we must remember our real purpose. Being committed to creating a world that works for all, we will be called outside of our comfort zone. Our compassion for the world requires that we take action to alleviate suffering. We may be called to use methods that we may not be familiar with. Remember, without action, we are just spectators, hoping, standing by on the sideline, hoping and wondering that something good may possibly come along the way. We must be patient, using the creative process and find ways which may not be our way to support and reach the people who are struggling and suffering. We simply be there and allow the healing energy of our presence to say, you are not alone, I am with you. When we take time to stand on Shiva, to stand in truth, we see past the frenzy, the drama, and the illusions, the thunder and the lightning, to the essence of a situation. Seeing the essence of what it is allows us to create effective solutions, and we apply the creative process in life-enhancing ways. And so I invite you now to join us with our weekly affirmation. I will say it and then I will ask you to respond. I wake up to the truth of spirit that I am. I wake up to the truth of spirit that I am. And now let us pray together. Turning within to that space of the infinite knowingness, this infinite power, we stand on the truth that there's one life. That life is God's life. That life is whole, it is perfect, it is complete. And it is the life that I am living right here and right now as an individualized expression of pure spirit. And as this is true for me, I know it and I affirm it to be the truth for all. Each one an individualized expression of pure spirit, living, moving, and having their very beingness as the life of God. And so I affirm and declare this morning that as we stand on Shiva, that experience of creating, recreating, that we allow those times that seem to be messy or uncomfortable or untruth to be those healing moments where we stand in the awesome awareness that this too shall pass, and that God is my source, that God is all that there is. Standing in the truth of my own awareness, I know that everything in my life unfolds in divine, right, and perfect order. When I take my hands off it, when I step back, when I stop asking the why and begin asking the what. What am I called to be in this moment? What am I called to express in this moment? What am I called to release in this moment? And what else is being revealed in this moment for me to know right here and right now? And as I stand in that place of openness, as I stand in a place of gratitude, as I stand in a place of receptivity, I know that everything is always working for my highest and for the highest and the best of all who are concerned. And so as we stand in the truth, as we practice the patience of knowing that God is source, I know that, and I can firmly say that all is well. That all is well. I speak my word of blessing this morning for those places where people are gathering in the name and nature of the one life, recognizing that there are many paths that lead to the one source, and that each path stands in the light and the love of oneness and wholeness. And along the way where our paths intersect, may they intersect with compassion and love and kindness and an embracing of what may seem different, and yet recognizing that it is all one experience. I speak my word of blessing this morning for those who are going through transitions on this journey, this adventure that is called life. For those who may be experiencing the physical absence of a loved one or a friend or an associate who has stepped off of this mortal plane and has joined the ancestors in the realm of the eternal. Moving from a place of local into non-local, knowing that their energy and their essence is always with us. For those who are going through transitions of right livelihood, whether that be in the area of employment opportunities, gainful right livelihood, housing opportunities, or choices to live unhoused, but to live in safety, to live in compassion environments, to be one with all that there is. Whatever it is that remains in the recesses of our hearts, those prayer requests that have been spoken to a practitioner or remain unspoken, I know that the answer is yes. Yes and amen. And so for this and so much more, I am eternally grateful. Releasing this word now back into that law which always says yes, I just allow it to be so. And if any of what I have said resonates with you, I invite you to affirm it with me as we say, and so it is. And so it is. I want to take this opportunity to just remind you, to remind me that practitioners are available to support you in prayer. We have, for those of you who are here in the center, we have a prayer request form that you can fill out and leave in our prayer chest. and the ministers and the practitioners will pray over those prayer requests. You may also arrange for a meeting with a minister or a practitioner for specialized spiritual mind coaching, spiritual coaching, including spiritual mind treatment. And I just invite you to just be present with who you are, knowing that right where you are, you're whole, you're complete, and you are perfect in the mind of God. And that's all that matters. And now it is time for us to engage in the law of circulation, known as offering. We have an abundance statement that I invite us to say together. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This process is the evidence of my abundance consciousness. And so again, I thank you for the way that you lovingly support our spiritual community with your time, your talent, and your treasure. And for those who support us by mail, our mailing address is on the screen, 400 West Franklin Street, Monterey, California, 93940. You may also text to give. That number is on our screen. And you may also donate online through our website, www.montereycsl.org. And for those of you who are here in the center, we have a donation basket on our hospitality table, and we invite you to leave your donations there. And so I want to acknowledge, while we're still on air, I want to acknowledge our beautiful floral arrangement this morning, and it is from Denise Kaku in recognition of her birthday, which is today. So happy birthday, Denise. And for those of you who are also today after service, we invite you to join us for a conversation and for snacks. Today is also Soul Collage. So the Soul Collage will begin at noon, and there is a suggested donation of $35 for participation in that. That is facilitated by Denise Kaku. Next Sunday after service will be our spiritual living discussion group. And then on the fifth Sunday, what happens on fifth Sundays, Monterey? Potluck, yay! So we have wonderful and a variety of snacks after service on Sundays, but potluck is where we really throw down. So I invite you to prepare your favorite dish or bring a dish to share. And if you don't have something to share, bring yourself. That is the gift in itself. So we look forward to our potluck experience on the fifth Sunday. And so as we say good morning to our Facebook and our YouTube family, invite you to join us next week, where we will continue our theme for the month, Speaking Truth to Circumstances. And our subject will be the wise warrior, the power to create real change. And so thank you and good morning.